What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, June 20th. Wednesday kind of felt like a nightmare, guys. It was just a terrible, terrible day. We had the Phillies minus 156. They gave up a 3-run triple to Higashioka in the 8th inning. The dude's batting like 160 or something like that on the season, so that's a little bit disappointing there. We had Arizona minus 150. They scored only 1 run in that game, so a huge disappointment there from a pretty good offensive team. We had the Mariners plus 110. Wu clearly not healthy enough to make this start. He had his worst start of the season. Will not be surprised at all if he makes his way onto the injury list now. We also had the Yankees minus 172. They committed 3 errors in the game. Jarrett Cole was clearly not 100% ready to make his first big league start of the year, and they lost that game in the 10th inning. So another soul crusher there. We had the Twins minus 162. They committed 2 errors in that game. They only scored 2 runs. They also lost that game in extra innings. The only game that I really felt like we 100% deserved to lose, we had the Mets minus 106. They gave up a 2-run home run in the 7th inning to lose that game 5-3. So obviously a total disaster out there. Let's see if we can get back on track here on a short Thursday slate. Before we get into the games, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays in all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be down in the pinned comment below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Washington Nationals. The Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of that 3-1 loss in game 2 of the series. They're now 1-1 in the series, 36-38 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Ryan Nelson. He's 4-5 this year with a 5.49 ERA. He's coming off a very good start though, guys. It was against the Chicago White Sox, so, maybe we can't give him all the credit in the world, but he went 6 innings, gave only a single earned run, and struck out 8. So one of his best starts of the season. We'll see how he does, how he can back that up. His last very good start was against the San Francisco Giants, and his start after that left a lot to be desired against the Padres, where he just got shelled for 6 runs. So maybe don't feel great about that. How do we feel about him in general as a starter this season? I mean, he's had his ups and downs. It hasn't been a complete disaster out there, I wouldn't say. I mean, he's been working his way through. He's definitely not a super plus level pitcher in my opinion, but like I said, not a disaster. Their bullpen though has been very bad, guys. One of the worst bullpens in the major leagues this season. Just not a bullpen that you can trust to hold things down. They really didn't look terrible there in game 2 of this series, so we'll see what they have in the tank here for game 3. But in general, guys, the Diamondbacks offense is what really let us down. I mean, only scoring 1 run in this game, a huge departure from what they've been doing lately. And over the course of the season, there's been a very good offense. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored, 6th in the majors in batting average, batting .254 as a team. Their team slugging percentage is very, very good. A .405 slugging percentage has them ranked 8th in the majors this year, and getting on base at a .325 clip, that is the 5th best mark in the majors. So, I mean, we see Marte hitting the ball really well. Christian Walker's up to 16 home runs. He's got 49 RBIs. Like, this is definitely a team that can pile up some runs, and that's what they're going to be trying to do here going up against the Nationals, who have actually been playing pretty well. They've won 4 of their last 5 games overall now. They're 36-37 on the year. Handing the ball in this game to Mackenzie Gore. He's 6-5 this season with a 3.24 ERA, so very, very respectable there. His last time out, he went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits on only a single earned run, and we can actually feel pretty okay about the fact that he's coming off of kind of an extended start, because the last time he had a long start, he went 7 innings against the Seattle Mariners. That was back on the 24th of last month. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits and only a single earned run. He backed that up with a very good start against the Atlanta Braves, where he gave up only a single earned run over 5 1/3 innings. So, maybe not a completely dominant start, but it was the Atlanta Braves. That's a pretty solid team. In general, though, we feel very good about Mackenzie Gore out there on the mound. We also don't feel terrible about the Nationals bullpen. I mean, a 3.81 bullpen ERA has them slightly above average in the majors, so nothing wrong with that. They'll definitely take that. That's not the problem for this team. The problem for this team is how much offense can you expect them to put up. They only scored 3 runs in game 2 of this series. They scored 0 in game 1. Not a team full of sluggers, guys. They are sitting at 24th in the majors with 289 runs scored over the course of the entire season. They're 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at 304 clip. Not a complete disaster, but obviously not great. You don't want to be in the bottom third of the majors in most of these big counting stats, and that's pretty much where they find themselves. I mean, they're 27th in the majors in slugging percentage. That's a little bit embarrassing. We see Jesse Winker hitting .271 this season. Nothing wrong with that, but other than him, there's not a lot of guys on this roster that I'm super scared to see come to the plate. There's a reason this team hasn't been scoring a lot of runs, and looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see that the odds makers aren't too worried about this offense having trouble. We've got the Nationals at -138. We got the Diamondbacks at +120. We've got an over-under in this game of 9. Arizona is 17-20 on the road this season. Washington is 17-18 at home. So, not amazing trends from either team based on, where they're playing. We also see some sort of an under trend here for Washington. They're 38-31-4 to the under. Arizona is a 50-50 over-under team. In general, guys, this is a bit of a tough spot. I tend to lean a little bit towards the Nationals -138 in this game. I like what Mackenzie Gore is doing out there. He's looking very, very good. He doesn't seem to be looking past bad teams, and I think he's got what it takes to at least slow down this Diamondbacks offense. Ryan Nelson, on the other hand, guys, I don't know. He's coming off of a little bit of an extended start for him. He's been alternating good and bad starts, so this would make him due for a bad start, and the Washington Bats, they've got to heat up. They got to put up some runs every once in a while, but another number that we're interested in this game is the no-run first inning. I think this could be a reasonable spot for that. I mean, obviously the Nationals don't have the hottest bats. I'm expecting a good outing from Mackenzie Gore, so getting a no-run first inning here at +100 seems very, very reasonable. Will this end up in the pin comment? We'll just have to wait and see, but I think that's a pretty reasonable and probably my favorite spot in this game. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Mariners come into this game fresh off of an 8-0 loss behind that terrible start from Woo, and just nothing coming from their offense. They're now 44-32 on the season, so having a pretty good time. That loss snapped a 4-game winning streak. They're going to be handing the ball on this one to Luis Castillo. He is 6-7 on the season with a 3.32 ERA. His last time out, he looked very good against the Texas Rangers. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs, so nothing wrong with that. It was a bounce back from a kind of a rough start for him against the Royals, but in general this season he's looked excellent. We see the Mariners are 3-2 over his last 5 starts. One of those was a loss where he gave up only 2 earned runs over 5 innings to the Yankees. So, not a whole lot of notes for me on this guy. He has been very good over the course of this season, and yeah, no surprise here about the Seattle bullpen. They've also been very good in general this year. I mean, a 3.50 bullpen ERA is nothing to turn your nose up at. Is this, I mean, they didn't have a great time, obviously, giving up 8 runs yesterday. Not a delight of an afternoon, but, they're going to have their bumps in the road just like everybody else. The question, generally speaking, for this team is how many runs can we expect from their offense? And normally, not a lot, guys. I mean, this team is coming off a game where they got shut out, obviously. They're 23rd in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in team batting average, batting only .222 as a squad. That's a pretty big concern. They have been hitting the ball rather well lately, though. I mean, 0, 8, 5, 7, and 3 runs, respectively, over their last 5 games. That's not terrible, especially for a team that's not that great offensively. We are concerned about the fact they're not, putting up very good counting stats, but right now they're swinging the bats relatively well. Obviously, coming off of a tough performance there, we could expect them to possibly bounce back here. They're taking on the Cleveland Guardians, who come into this game fresh off of that 8-0 win. They had lost 3 games in a row before that, but they are 45-26 on the season, so I don't think there are a lot of, crazy big concerns with this team. We do see Jose Ramirez back from paternity leave, so that's a big step in the right direction for the Guardians. They are handing the ball in this game to Logan Allen, who is 7-3 this year with a 5.30 ERA. He's coming off a very solid start there at Toronto. He went 5 innings, gave 3 hits, only a single earned run. In his start before that, it was at Miami, so, take this with a little grain of salt. He went 6 innings, gave only 2 earned runs on 4 hits. He did give up 2 home runs in that game, which is a bit of a concern, but, I mean, he's going up against the Mariners, not one of the toughest offenses in the majors. We see that the Guardians are 3-2 over his last 5 starts, so that's all pretty respectable. He did have that terrible outing at Colorado, but that can be a very, very weird place to pitch. In general, guys, the Guardians bullpen has been very solid. I mean, a 3.50 bullpen ERA, exactly tied there with Seattle, so not a bad bullpen whatsoever. They've been having a pretty good time lately. Obviously had a great time there yesterday. This offense put up 8 runs in game 2 of this series. Haven't exactly been, hitting that cover off the ball. Over their last few, they scored 8, 5, 6, and 0 runs respectively, so that does cover some time with Jose Ramirez out of there when you're missing your best hitter. That's obviously a bit of a tough look, ask the Yankees. But anyway, looking at this offense in general this season, they're 8th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in on-base percentage with a .319 on-base percentage. That's very respectable. They are 13th in the majors in slugging percentage also, so nothing wrong with that. This is just a pretty solid offensive team up and down. You can expect them to do pretty well out there. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Mariners at -118. We've got the Guardians at +100. We've got an over-under in this game of 8.5 or 8. You can find both numbers out there. Seattle is 17 17-20 on the road, so really playing on the road has not been their forte this season. The Guardians are 22-9 at home, so that is a very, very solid at-home mark. They're a great team on their home field. We see some mixed trends here. We see Cleveland is a slight over team. We see Seattle is 43-30-3 to the under, so we definitely have to take a look at that under 8.5 in this game. But another situation here, guys, 2 games in a row here where you can actually look at that no-run first inning bet. If you take no-run first inning, it's minus 128, so not an incredibly enticing price there, but I do expect pretty solid things from Castillo in this game. I think Logan Allen will be good enough here, especially early on against the Mariners, who not swinging the hottest bats right now, coming off of getting shut out. So I think no run first inning definitely has some value in it. I also think that you could really go either side in this game. I tend to like the Guardians plus 100 a little bit with Logan Allen out there on the mound, but honestly, guys, I think the best value in this game is either that no-run first inning or taking under 8.5 in this spot. Next up, guys, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Rays come into this game fresh off of that 3-2 win there in the 10th inning on that throwing error. Just crazy stuff. Not a great night for us, guys. The Rays are only 35-39 on the season. They're handing the ball in this one to Zach Littell, who's 2-5 this year with a 4.24 ERA. He's come off of getting just absolutely shelled by the Atlanta Braves over his last 4 starts. 2 of them were against the Baltimore Orioles, but still, over his last 4 starts, he's given up at least 3 earned runs in each one of them. He's given up at least 6 hits in each one of those starts. We see that the Rays are only 1-4 over his last 5 starts. So Zach Littell not exactly having a great time out there right now. And guys, really neither is the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen. They are one of the worst bullpens in the majors this season. It's been a big problem for this team. One of the reasons they've struggled to find success this year for sure. But the other big reason has been this team's offense, guys. I mean, they did just score only 3 runs in game 2 of this series. They're sitting in 25th in the major leagues with only 285 runs scored over the course of this entire season. That's pretty bad. They're 20th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're a terrible slugging percentage team. Not a lot of power hitters having a very good time for this offense. I mean, yeah, just not a lot of positives to report for this team here at the plate, guys. The Rays, not a team you're wanting to go watch if you're looking to see some offense. And they haven't been having a great time over the last several games either. I mean, they are 3-3 over the last 6, so slightly better than their season average, but nothing to write home about. They're taking on a Twins team that just had a 6-game winning streak get snapped there with that 3-2 loss. They are 41-33 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Simeon Woods Richardson, who's 2-1 this year with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty short, pretty mediocre start there against the Oakland A's. He gave up 4 earned runs on 4 hits over 4 innings, so pretty weak stuff from him there. He's not a guy you can really trust to go deep into games. I mean, he went 6 1/3 innings there against the Pirates and looked very good, giving up only a single run back on the 8th, but then followed that up with a stinker. So maybe they strung him out a little bit too long out there. But in general this season, guys, he's been putting up very solid numbers. Just not a guy you can trust to go super deep into the game, which I'm not going to lie is something of a concern, guys. The Twins bullpen is sporting a 4.24 bullpen ERA, which is not fantastic, but you would think their bullpen could do decent here against the weak Tampa Bay Rays hitters, so we'll have to see how that goes. We obviously can't trust Simeon Woods Richardson to go deep into games. How much can we trust the Twins' bats? Well, before this game where they only scored 2 runs, guys, they had scored 7, 8, 6, 6, 6, and 17 runs, respectively. So this team is swinging some pretty hot bats, obviously not in that loss that they just suffered yesterday, but in general, they've been hitting the ball very, very well. They're top 10 in the majors in runs scored. They're top 10 in the majors in slugging percentage. They're 12th in the majors in on-base percentage, batting or getting on base at a 315 clip. They're batting 245 as a squad. Like, this is a very, very solid offensive team, and we see Carlos Correa out there batting 310. This is a team you should be scared of at the plate for sure. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the odds makers not too scared. They've got the Rays at plus 105. We see the Twins at minus 120. We've got over-unders of 8s or 7.5 out there. We see the Twins are a very good home team. They're 23-14 at home. The Rays are only 15-16 on the road. I definitely lean towards the Twins having the slightly better bullpen, which is a nice thing to add in a game where they don't have the, the starter that can go the deepest into the game. But how much do we trust Zach Littell? Not very much for me, guys. Give me the Twins minus 120. I like this game a lot. It is definitely going in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. We saw the Astros take the 4-1 win there in Game 2 of this series. They're now 1-1 in the series. They lost 2-0 in Game 1, so that's pretty embarrassing stuff, not being able to score a single run against the Chicago White Sox. The Astros are 34-40 on the year. They're 9 games back of the Mariners there in the AL West. They're handing the ball to Spencer Arrighetti. He is 3-6 this season with a 6.37 ERA. Yeah, fell back on hard times his last start, guys. He got shelled by the Detroit Tigers. He only went 1 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 7 earned runs. He gave up 3 home runs, just absolutely getting obliterated out there, which was a big departure. His 4 starts before that were all very, very positive. We saw the Astros go 2-2 over those starts. He didn't give up more than 3 earned runs. He only gave up a total of 5 earned runs over those 4 starts. But man, at Detroit, take that out. Man, against Detroit, he got absolutely shelled. So we've got our question marks about him. How is he going to bounce back from such a tough performance? We also have major question marks about this Houston bullpen, guys. One of the worst bullpens in the major leagues this season. I don't think we see that changing right now or anytime soon. They would have to make some big moves to really improve some stuff out there because, man, things are looking extremely rough for that bullpen. Once the starter goes out of the game, all bets are off. You never know what's going to happen out there. The Astros hitting has also been a weird question mark this season all year long. They've only scored a total of 4 runs over the first 2 games of the series. That is clearly not great. They're down to 14th in the majors in runs scored, a number that just continues falling. It's weird because this team is 1st in the majors in batting average, 6th in the majors in slugging percentage. They are down to 11th in the majors in on-base percentage. Just not a team you can trust at the plate. Like, they just have a very rough time putting up runs just all the time. Seems like a concern. You never know. They could have a weird outburst where they put up a ton, but over the last few games, guys, they've scored 4, 0, 4, 5, 4, 3, 3, like just not a team that puts up a lot of big crooked numbers. So we have our question marks about this offense, even going up against the Chicago White Sox, who come into this game 20-55 in the season. They're handing the ball to Chris Flexen in this game. He's 2-6 this year with a 5.35 ERA. He's coming off of a really tough outing there against the Diamondbacks, guys. It was at Arizona. He went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 6 runs. 4 of them were earned. He gave up a home run in that game. He was having kind of a better time. He had 3 consecutive pretty decent starts after getting knocked around by the Baltimore Orioles back on the 24th. He had good starts against Toronto, Chicago Cubs, and against the Boston Red Sox. So, you know, maybe a little bit of a tough spot there for him at Arizona, but in general, not exactly a guy we can trust. And a shocker of the year, guys, the Chicago White Sox bullpen is not good. A 4.85 bullpen ERA is pretty terrible. You would expect them to give up runs pretty much every single time you see some bullpen guys out there on the mound. And if you give up any runs as the Chicago White Sox pitcher, you know you're in trouble because this offense has been the worst in the majors all season long. They are dead last in runs scored, dead last in batting average, batting .219 as a team. They're dead last in on-base percentage, getting on base at a .281 clip, and they are absolute bottom of the barrel in slugging percentage as well with a .347 slugging percentage. So just a terrible, terrible offensive team. A terrible team in general, obviously, no big surprise there. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Astros at -177. We got the White Sox at -152. We got an over-under of 9 in this game. We see Houston is an MLB best 44, 26, and 3 to the under this season, which pretty crazy. The White Sox are basically a 500 over-under team. Are we interested in the over-under in this game? Well, guys, that honestly might be the best spot in this whole situation because we see Houston is only 12-21 on the road. The White Sox are 13-23 at home. Houston's -177. Are we really interested in -177 with Spencer Arrighetti on the mound? I mean, I'm definitely not backing Chris Flexen at +152. This is not a game I'm very interested at all in, guys. I guess give me the under 9 as my sole lean in this one, but really anything could happen in this one. Just a very, very weird spot between 2 pretty mediocre teams. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the LA Dodgers going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off of a 7-6 loss there in Game 3 at Colorado. We expected them to eventually lose a game there, and they sure enough found a way to do it in the 9th inning. So, you know, the tough spot there for the Dodgers. They've been dealing with some injuries right now, missing Mookie Betts for sure, but they're looking to bounce back in this one. They're handing the ball to Gavin Stone, who's 7-2 this season with a 3.01 ERA. He's coming off of a very reasonable start there against the Kansas City Royals. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game. He's actually given up 1 home run over each of his last 2 games, but when you're facing the Yankees and the Kansas City Royals, you're going to give up some hits. You're going to give up some long balls. Like, those are 2 pretty tough opponents, but in general, he's looked very, very good recently, and his last time against the Rockies, he looked excellent. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs. He struck out 6 and walked 2. He did only last 5 innings in that game, so that's a bit of a concern for me, but he's shown he can be good pitching on the road, and I know pitching at Coors Field is a little bit of a different situation, but I'm not too worried about him out there. I'm also not too worried about the Dodgers bullpen. I mean, they've been like in the top 5 for sure all season long. A 3.36 bullpen ERA is not a problem. Definitely something you can work with as a team. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay with that bullpen out there. And generally speaking, you're going to be okay with this offense. I mean, they've scored 6, 11, 9, and 3 runs over their last 4 games. this is a team that can definitely hit the ball. I mean, Ohtani is an absolute monster. Hernandez is putting up some pretty good numbers as well. Are they going to miss Mookie Betts here for a while? I would say absolutely, but does that spell like doom for this offense? I don't really think so, guys. They're tied for first in the majors in runs scored. They're fourth in the majors in team batting average, batting 256 as a squad. Like, a lot of these numbers can go at the feet of guys like Ohtani and Mookie Betts, but in general, this is not a bad hitting team. They're first in the majors in on-base percentage, guys. Like, this is a very good offensive team, and they're going up against the Colorado Rockies, who got that win there 7-6. They're 26-48 on the season, so, not exactly headed anywhere great this year. They are handing the ball in this game to Ty Blatch. He's 3-4 this year with a 4.65 ERA, and he's coming off of a serviceable, I guess, start against the Pirates. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, only 2 earned runs. He gave up a home run. He's given up at least 1 home run in each of his last 3 starts, which is a bit of a concern when you're about to pitch against the Dodgers. So, don't necessarily feel amazing about that. He hasn't had an outing against the Dodgers this year so far, so nothing we can really glean from that. But over his last few outings, he gave up 10 hits to the Cincinnati Reds. He gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs to the Cardinals. Not a very good hitting team there. So we've got our questions here about Ty Blatch. We also have questions about the Rockies bullpen. No major shocker there. They've been one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball all season long. You can only use pitching at Coors Field as so much of an excuse, so not too excited about that. Also, this offense, they've been putting up some runs lately. I mean, they've scored 7, 9, and 5 runs over their last 3 games. So, they're scoring some runs at Coors Field. You kind of expect that to happen. This is not an elite offensive team, though, guys. They're 11th in the majors in batting average, 15th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're up to 16th in the MLB in runs scored. So, maybe these numbers are trending in a little bit of a positive direction, but a lot of these are kind of skewed. I mean, they scored 16 runs in that one game against the Pirates. These numbers are also skewed from the fact they get to play at Coors Field. So, we've got our question marks about this offense as well, and so do the odds makers in this game, guys. We've got the Dodgers at -238, the Rockies at +205. We got over-under showing of 12 or 11.5. We see the Dodgers are 21-14 on the road. The Rockies are only 14-19 at home. Guys, I'm siding with the Dodgers in this game for sure. I know it's a little bit, maybe feels a little bit sketchy without Mookie Betts in there, although from the comments, it seems like you guys aren't too scared of that. Right now, if you take the Dodgers -1.5, you can get them at -155. You take them -2.5, you can get them at -110. Do we have the guts to put a -2.5 out there? Seems a little bit strong, but in general, I do really like the Dodgers in the spot. So we'll probably side with them -1.5 and get them at that relatively reasonable -155. If you wanted to juice it up to the 2.5, though, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Will this end up in the pinned comment? We'll have to see. I don't love putting -1.5s in the pinned comment unless, I feel like it's a great spot. If this was the Dodgers at full strength with Mookie Betts out there, maybe I would, but we'll see if this ends up in the pinned comment. It is a short slate. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. We see these two teams are currently playing right now. They're in the top of the 9th inning with the A's up 5-1, so looking like another loss there for the Royals. They will have lost the first 2 games of the series, so a pretty tough look. They'll be down to 41-34 on the season, which not exactly what they had imagined here. A few weeks ago, this was one of the hottest teams in baseball, and things have definitely fallen off. They're handing the ball in this game to Seth Lugo. He's been having a great year. He's 10-2 this season with a 2.40 ERA. He's coming off of a fantastic start there at the Dodgers, where he went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 6 hits. He's been just very good. He did have a little bit of a hiccup there against the Yankees. Not his best stuff there at Cleveland, but over the course of this year, he's been very, very good. And I mean, it's not like he's taking on the best offensive team. Back there on the 18th of last month, he did pitch against the Oakland A's. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits, only 2 earned runs. He struck out 10 in that game. Like, he looked pretty good in that start, no doubt about it. I think we can expect pretty good things here from Seth Lugo, and the Royals bullpen hasn't been having the greatest time right now. I mean, over the course of the year, they've been pretty good. A 3.84 bullpen ERA is not terrible, but they used to be up there with the top, 4 or 5 teams in the majors. So to see them down there, it's a little bit concerning for sure. What will we get from this team in this game? It's a little bit hard to see. I mean, you would expect the pitching staff to have a better night. This Royals team, guys, at the plate, they've had their moments. They've been very, very good at times. Recently, a little bit rough. I mean, they've scored only a single run in their current game. They scored 5 runs in game 1 of the series. They got shut out in the last game of their series against the Dodgers. So definitely in, kind of in need of some bounce back offensive production here. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. has been a monster. There's no doubt about that. Salvador Perez has cooled off since his hot start. I mean, over the course of the season, being a major league catcher can definitely take its toll on you, no doubt. But in general, guys, This is an offense that we're terrified of. They're 5th in the majors in runs scored, 10th in the majors in team batting average. And by terrified of, I mean I'm not terrified of them having a terrible, terrible day out there. We'll just kind of have to see what happens, but this is not an offense that I have a ton of questions about. I think they're going to find a way to put some runs up here, especially coming off of a pretty weak performance there in game 2. So looking at their opponents in this one, the Oakland Athletics, they're going to be pretty happy to have won 2 games in a row. That'll put them to 28 and 48 on the year though, so not exactly headed anywhere fast. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Mitch Spence. He has yet to figure in a result this year. He's coming off of a start there against the Twins where he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 4 earned runs. That was at the Twins. He'll be pitching at home in this game, which obviously has to feel a little bit better, but he had a pretty weak outing back on the 4th against the Mariners where he gave up 9 hits over 6 innings to a pretty weak hitting Mariners team, so he could have his work cut out for him here going up against the Kansas City Royals. The last time he faced the Royals, he did have quite a bit of success. I mean, he went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and only a single earned run. That was a game we saw the A's lose 6-2 though, so we'll definitely be taking that into account a little bit in this game. Looking at the A's bullpen, it's been trending in a positive direction, but a 4.34 bullpen ERA, not exactly elite. The bats for this team have been pretty questionable over the course of the season. They've had their moments, but they are 29th in the majors with a 222 team batting average. They're only getting on base at a 292 clip, which is 28th in the majors. So we've got some pretty big question marks about this offense. Are they having back-to-back good games? Yeah, scoring 7 and 5 runs there against the Royals. They will definitely take that, but this is not an offense that I'm scared of necessarily. We don't see a lot of big sluggers out there for them. I mean, this is just not an amazing offensive team. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the odds makers think there's a decent chance for the Royals to bounce back here. They've got the Royals at -135, the A's at +122. We see over-unders of 8.5 and 7.5, both numbers out there, which is a little bit weird. Also, this might be a no-run first inning spot for us to check out, guys. If you take no-run first inning in this game, you can get it at -115. That is very intriguing to me. We're definitely going to be on that one. The Royals are only 16 and 19 on the road, which is a little bit concerning. The A's are 16 and 20 at home, so that's obviously not great. We see both teams showing some slight, maybe not super significant, but definitely some trends here to the under. That just makes me feel even better about that no-run first inning bet. So in this game, guys, we're going to be on the Royals -135, but we are also for sure going to be on that no-run first inning. -115 is a very reasonable price on that one for me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Orioles looked very good there in Game 2 of this series. It ended up being an extremely close one. They won 7-6 there. Yeah, crazy stuff in that game, as well as many other games there on Wednesday. But in general, guys, the Orioles are off to a great start to their year. They're 48 and 25 in the season. They've won 3 out of their last 4 games overall. They're handing the ball in this one to Cole Irvin, who's been a monster this year. He's 6-3 with a 3.03 ERA. He did have some trouble in his last couple of starts, though, guys. I mean, at Tampa Bay, he gave up 8 hits and 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, but he did give up a home run in that game. We did see Baltimore bail him out, winning that one 6-3, but his next start, which was his last time out back on the 13th, he was going up against the Atlanta Braves. He was pitching at Camden Yards in that one. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 4 runs in that game. He didn't give up a home run in that one, and we didn't see Baltimore be able to bail him out there. They lost that game 6-3. We also noticed that the Orioles are only 2-3 over his last 5 starts, so we've got some concerns about one of their best pitchers right now. I mean, are they major concerns? I would say they're medium concerns at least. This bullpen has been very good, guys. They're up to 2nd in the majors with a 3.09 bullpen ERA, so that is obviously extremely respectable. Like, this is an elite bullpen team, absolutely no doubt about it. And this has been one of the best hitting teams in the majors this season. I mean, obviously coming off a game where they scored 7 runs, they've scored 7, 2, 8, 6, and 3 runs respectively over their last 5 games. And those have been against elite competition. We see that they're 4th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in team batting average. They've been the best slugging percentage team all season long, guys. Their slugging percentage is .450, like absolute monsters out there. We see Gunnar Henderson. He's obviously insane. Like, this team, they can hit the ball from top to bottom. Like, they are a great offensive team. The question is, how many runs will they score here against the Yankees in Game 3 of this series? The Yankees are now 51 and 25 after that tough loss. They have to be pretty okay with what they saw from Cole there in his outing, but maybe not thrilled. They're handing the ball in this game to their ace this season, who's been Luis Gil. He's 9-1 this year with a 2.03 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty solid start there at Boston. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, only a single earned run. He had some trouble with his control in that game, which is not the norm for him. He walked 4 hitters, but that's not something you expect to see from him most outings. Like, his control has been pretty good. We also see that the Yankees are 5-0 over his last 5 starts, with wins mixed in there against Seattle, Minnesota, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox. So just in general, he's been very, very good, and it doesn't seem to matter whether he's home or away. This dude is just an absolute monster out there, just killing it. No notes from me about him. He's been fantastic. He's got a very good start this season under his belt. Back on the 1st of last month, he went into Camden Yards, went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 2 hits and no runs while striking out 5. So very solid stuff he's shown this year against the Baltimore Orioles. And the Yankees bullpen, while it's had its troubles recently, has been the best bullpen in the major leagues this season and should be even getting a little bit of a boost there. So things are just looking fantastic for this pitching staff right now, and they can expect to have a pretty good game, I would think, although they are going up against a tough offensive team. The Yankees hitters, we've seen some struggles here lately. Judge did not play there in Game 2 of this series. We'll see if he ends up back out there for Game 3. That's obviously a pretty big question mark. I mean, I would kind of expect to see him out there. He's listed as day-to-day. He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't out there on Wednesday, but I think we can expect him back out there. Some swelling and stuff. Like, I don't know if he'll be at 100%, but, like 80% of Aaron Judge, that seems pretty okay to me. So I think we're feeling pretty good about this offense in general. I mean, they're 1st in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage, 3rd in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is an absolutely elite offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles at plus 118, the Yankees at minus 135. We've got over-unders of 9 or 8.5 showing out there. Baltimore is an MLB best on the road, 22-11, but the Yankees are 23-10 at home. So, not a whole lot for me to glean from that, except for the Yankees are a very good home team and the Orioles are a very good road team. But guys, we're going to be siding with Luis Gil and the Yankees at home in this game. I mean, he's got success against the Orioles this season. Cole Irvin has yet to face the Yankees this year, so he doesn't maybe 100% know what he's getting himself into. So give me the Yankees minus 135 in this one. I think it's a great bounce back spot for them after losing a heartbreaker last night. Next up, guys, we got the San Francisco Giants going on the road here to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Giants come into this game fresh off of losing 2 out of 3 there to the Chicago Cubs. They lost the last 2 games of that series. They were competitive games for sure, but they were not able to come out on top. They're down to 36 and 39 in the year, so probably not thrilled with that. Handing the ball to a guy that can't be thrilled with how his season has gone, that's Keaton Winn. He's 3-7 this season with a 6.66 ERA. He's coming off of a, I guess, better start for him. He went 6 innings against the Angels, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. He's given up at least 1 home run in each of his last 4 starts, so that's not amazing. He's had some control issues for sure. He's not a guy that goes super deep into games, so the fact that he's coming off of a game where he went 6 innings is another concern for me. Big question marks for me about Keaton Winn in this game. And also, guys, we have our question marks about this Giants bullpen. I mean, a 4.42 bullpen ERA, not exactly what I would call elite out there. They're not having the best time. They're having some struggles. And in general, guys, the hitters aren't having an amazing time. I mean, against the Cubs, they scored 7, 2, and 5 runs respectively, so not a disaster. But this team has to lean pretty hard on its offense, and when you're only 13th in the majors in runs scored, you might not want to be leaning that hard on your offense to put up a ton of runs to support the pitching staff. So that's a bit of a big ask to me. I mean, 10th in the majors in on-base percentage is nice. 13th in the majors in batting average isn't terrible, but you're kind of leaning on them to put up a lot of offense to win these games. And they're going up against a Cardinals team that, man, it's a little bit rough. We did see the x-rays come back negative after Arenado just got absolutely nailed with that pitch, but they did lose 4-3 in that game. That's back-to-back one-run games, losing against the Marlins. They actually played a one-run game in each of the 3 games in that series. Losing series to the Miami Marlins is not what's supposed to be going on for the Cardinals right now. They were seemingly turning things around. They're down to 36 and 37 on the season now. They're handing the ball in this game to Andre Palante, hoping he can kind of turn things around for them after, those struggles. His last start was a very short one against the Cubs. He went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, only a single earned run. So, not a disaster of a short start, but not amazing. His start before that was his best of the season, guys. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs while striking out 6 and walking 1 against the Colorado Rockies. He's had his struggles this year for sure, guys. I mean, he's got good starts at the Reds against Colorado, but he's got a bad start at Houston. Not a great start there against Milwaukee back on the 20th of April. So, some questions here about Palante. He's got some good stuff. He could have a good start for sure. He's not going up against a team that's swinging necessarily the hottest or the coldest bats. A big question mark for me in this game, guys, is the Cardinals bullpen. I mean, maybe not a huge question. They're trending in a positive direction. I mean, a 3.93 bullpen ERA is better than this team has been, we'll say, most of the season. So, you know, there's some positives to be taken from this bullpen. We'll see what they can actually do out there in this game. But the offense, I definitely expect Arenado to miss this game for sure. Not that that should be a huge deal because he's not exactly swinging the hottest bat this year. The Cardinals offense has scored 3, 8, and 7 runs respectively over their last 3. So not amazing, not terrible. They haven't been great at the plate this season, though. 26th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in on-base percentage, 19th in the majors, batting .236 as a team. Not really numbers to write home about. So we've got our questions about that. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Giants at plus 105, the Cardinals at minus 116. We see over-unders of 9.5 or 8.5 showing out there, so a little weird to see that spread. Not super interested in the over-under in this game, guys. We see the Giants are only 16 and 22 on the road. The Cardinals are 17 and 15 at home. We like this pitching matchup. I think Palante is in line for a pretty solid start. The Cardinals bullpen is trending in a positive direction, so we like that. Guys, go ahead and give me the Cardinals to bounce back here a little bit at minus 116. I know Arenado won't be out there, but it's not like he's been hitting the ball great this season, so that doesn't scare me too much. Last but not least, guys, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of a 2-0 win to finish their series off against the Angels. They won, they won that series 2-1. We saw Freddie Peralta have one of his best starts, definitely one of his best starts since the beginning of the season. Honestly, one of his best starts over the course of the year. So he looked good out there for sure. They're up to 44 and 30 this season. They're handing the ball in this game to Bryce Wilson, who's 4 and 3 with a 3.84 ERA. He's coming off of a good start there at home against the Cincinnati Reds. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs. He walked 2 and struck out 6 in that game. A big bounce back for him after getting absolutely shelled by the Detroit Tigers back on the 9th. So he's had his ups and downs recently, obviously, but in general, he's been pretty solid. Maybe not, maybe not dominant, but been pretty solid. And he looked very good in his last outing, and he didn't go like scary deep into the game. So we don't have that little, tidbit working against him. The Brewers bullpen's been a little bit above average this season, guys. A 3.72 bullpen ERA. Nothing to turn your nose up at there. I think we can respect this bullpen a decent amount. The bats maybe haven't been the hottest they've been all season long. I mean, they've scored 2, 6, 3, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last 5 games. So, that's fine. In general, this season, they've been very, very good. They're 7th in the majors in runs scored, 7th in the majors batting .253 as a team. Their team slugging percentage is just over 400, so that's pretty nice. They're 4th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at nearly a .330 clip. So a lot of positive things, a lot of things to like about this offense, and they're hoping they can, get rolling here against the San Diego Padres, who did manage to finish off their series against the Phillies there with a win, thanks to some pretty wild hitting from, I would say, probably the most unlikely source imaginable. I mean, I don't know. Just a tough game there for the Phillies, but the Padres definitely needed that win. It snapped a 5-game losing streak for them. They're handing the ball in this game to Adam Mauser, who's 0-2 this season with a 7.82 ERA. He seemed to figure a little bit out there his last time on the mound against the Mets. I mean, I don't know. He only went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. So not exactly amazing. He did walk 6 in that outing. He struck out 4. He's a young guy. A lot of growing pains going to go on. He's having a pretty rough time out there, and we can definitely expect a healthy dose of that San Diego Padres bullpen. And a 4.05 bullpen ERA, while it's not the worst in the majors, is also definitely not the best. Have some questions about how they're going to handle pitching potentially 5 to 6 innings out of the bullpen here in this game. So we'll see how that goes, especially going up against the Brewers' pretty strong bats. The Padres bats came alive for 5 runs. I guess we can call that coming alive for a team that somehow just doesn't really hit the ball extremely well. I mean, yeah, just not looking great out there somehow. They've scored 5, 3, 2, 6, and 1 runs over their last 5 games. They're 11th in the majors in runs scored. All these numbers feel like they're trending down. I mean, team batting average of .257 is 2nd in the majors, 7th in the majors, and on base percentage, like, this is a team that should put up more runs, and they just find ways not to do that. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Brewers at minus 108, the Padres at plus 100. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. That is a weirdly cheap price there on the Brewers, minus 108. I don't know if the odds makers are expecting Mauser to maybe not even make this start. Maybe there'll be some sort of weird change, so keep your eye on this one. But in general, guys, I like the Brewers on the road a decent amount in this game. They're 21 and 18 on the road, which isn't terrible. They're going up against, probably assuming they're going up against Adam Mauser, they're going up a pretty weak pitcher, not the best bullpen. Give me the Milwaukee Brewers in this game. I think Bryce Wilson has it in him to have a pretty good start. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.